Hello aspirants, welcome to UPSC Geek by NRG. Today we are starting with lecture number 13, that is Niccolo Machiavelli in Western Political Thought. Before starting, I would love to express my gratitude to all of you who have sent your valuable feedback on my uh, Telegram community channel. I am really overwhelmed by reading through all the feedbacks that I have received, and few of the most important thing or the feedback that I have received was more or less has to deal with the language, right? The first thing you all have requested to make it a little bit more English oriented, that is bilingual, English and Hindi both. I'll try my best to inculcate the language orientation of English, because the political science has its own language, right? And if I not do justice to the language of political science, it won't be very efficient for you all while attempting an answer during your examination, right? Because it still takes time to produce or process the translation in our brain, right? The thing you understand in Hindi and produce it in English, right? Because in the exam you'll have to attempt an answer in the language which you are opting for, that is English. So but I'll still try to make some of the concepts which are very important in bilingual, that is English, so as to make your understanding a little bit more holistic. All right, so with this I am really grateful for all of you who have expressed your feedback and also expressed gratitude for this course lecture series. So let's get started with lecture number 13 and Niccolo Machiavelli, which is very famous, or I will also say infamous political thinker in Western political thought, right? So it is unlikely for anyone in politics, either academically or otherwise, to not know about famous Italian philosopher, that is Machiavelli, right? Whether you hear the Honorable External Affairs Minister Jayasankar repeatedly mentioning about the statecraft, that is Machiavellianism, in international politics or in internal politics as well, in from psychology to the stream of political science, most of the time we come across a term Machiavellianism, right? Though in psychology the connotation of Machiavellianism has little bit negative concept, that is psychology में Machiavellianism का मतलब होता है a potential tactic to manipulate or deceive someone, right? So there are three basic triad disorder in psychology, that is Machiavellianism, psychopathy and disorders, right? So Machiavellianism has little bit negative connotation when it comes to psychology, but it has very positive approach when it comes to political science, because it is all about the art of statecraft, which is famous famous concept of Machiavelli, that is Niccolo Machiavelli. Okay, so we will be dealing in the course description as well in very depth in the further slides, right? So let's get started, people. So let's get started with Machiavelli, his life and time. But again, one thing I would like to mention here is that I'll try to make the lecture a little bit more interactive by adding few of the questions at the end, right? So I'd love to show you some of the questions, right, which you can keep in your brain or which you can note down somewhere. The first question is, name some of the important works of Machiavelli. So today's main agenda for today lecture will be his life and time, his methodology, his perspective, his place, and the impact of Renaissance that was on the work of Machiavelli, right? So these are some of the list of questions which I'll show you in the end after taking you through the slides, right? So you can jot down these questions so that you can attempt and check your progress, like how efficiently or how comprehensively have you understood the various concepts which have been delivered to you all in this lecture, right? So name some of the important works of Machiavelli that we will be seeing. What are the important factors that helped in shaping the political philosophy of Machiavelli? So some of the important factors which influenced Machiavelli during his life and time. which influenced most of his political work, which we'll also be seeing in the lectures. And third is Renaissance movement had a deep impact on Machiavelli explained. So these are the three questions which you have to answer in 50 words, and you can mail me the answers, right? So let's get started. So the one thing you have to keep in mind, just keep the questions in your brain and try understanding the concepts accordingly, right? So let's get started with Machiavelli, his life and time, right? So Niccolo Machiavelli was born in Florence. Florence एक जगह है प्रेजेंट डे इटली में, जहाँ पे निकोलो मैकियावेली का जन्म हुआ था, ओके, in 1469 in a family with a modest means. So basically, just to give you all a brief background, Machiavelli is a well-known family in Florence, present-day Italy, right? Machiavelli is a surname or title, and they were very close associate to Medici family. Medici were basically a banking class or the business class in the Florence, right? So basically, Florence was basically a republic based government, which was mainly influenced by the business class, that is the Medici family. So Medici family were the de facto ruler of Florence, despite having a republic type of government where there is a Sagrerio, a top executive body to rule the Florence, but they were mainly influenced by the Medici family. And Machiavelli and Medici family were the close associates because they both belong to a banking jurist business class, right? So his father was a jurist. Niccolo Machiavelli father was a jurist. Machiavelli as a child could not receive proper education, and he studied the Latin classics, especially on Roman history, under the guidance of his father. So what happened, there was a lot of political turmoil which was going on in the Florence during the time of Medici kingship, right, or Medici rulership. So some of the business really got a toll during his time. And क्या हुआ, जो निकोलो मैकियावेली के फादर थे, उनकी business बहुत लॉस में जाने लग गई, so that he could not afford the education for Machiavelli and his brother. So he decided to give personal tutorship to his son, both of his son. So, and he started teaching ancient Greek and Latins to Machiavelli and his brother. So when Machiavelli was around 7 years, when he was in 7th years of his age, he basically mastered the Greek language, ancient Greek language, and he started Latin classics, right? And as he grew young, he joined the government of Florence as the Secretary of Chancery. In this new capacity, he got a chance to handle the departments of war and interior, right? As they were close associate of Medici family, during very early age of his life, he became a secretary of Chancery, because the person who was Chancery during his time was also a teacher of Machiavelli. And Machiavelli का जो dexterity, जो talent था, was phenomenal, and hence the secretary of Chancery, hence the Chancery decided to appoint Machiavelli as his secretary to the office. So उसी समय में Machiavelli got a lot of exposure of international relation, exposure of war, because there was lot of external threats which was posing upon the Florence, right? So we will be seeing this particular notion in greater depth in further lecture series, where हमें पता चलेगा जो इटली था वो 5 प्रिंसिपालिटीज में डिवाइड था, राइट? फ्लोरेंस एक था, मिलान एक था, और भी 5 टोटल थे, राइट? एंड दे वेयर ऑल वेरी एग्रेसिव टू ईच अदर. सब एक दूसरे के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा थ्रेटफुल थे, क्योंकि वो एक दूसरे की टेरिटरी को एक्वायर करना चाहते थे, बिकॉज यूरोप ड्यूरिंग मिडिवल टाइम वॉज prone to the expansionist policy, right? So because of that, being very close associate to the secretary, as a secretary of a chancery, he got exposure of various war department of war and interiors, right? So this is a brief background of Machiavelli. But with the change of power, Machiavelli was not only obliged to leave the job, but was thrown in the prison on a charge of conspiracy on an account of his failure to side with the new rulers, right? So as there was a toll on the Medici family, what happened? There was a complete overhaul of the kingdom or the monarchy, right? And a new ruler came as a न्यू रूलर इन दी फ्लोरेंस. एक जैसे मेडिसी फैमिली का का नुकसान स्टार्ट हुआ, देर वॉज अ कंप्लीट चेंज ऑफ रूलरशिप इन फ्लोरेंस, राइट। इसके साथ में ही मैकियावेली को भी उसके जॉब से निकाल दिया गया एंड ही वॉज सेंट टू द प्रिजन, उसको जेल में भेज दिया गया ऑन द चार्जेस दैट ही इज कॉन्स्पायरिंग अगेंस्ट द न्यू रिजाइम, new rulership, and his ability to fail to side with the new rulers, right? So इस charges में उसको जेल भेज दिया गया basically. So in 1513 Machiavelli produced his masterpiece, that is the Prince, and 8 years later he produced Discourses in 1521. मैकियावेली की 3 बहुत फेमस वर्क हैं और मैग्नम ओपस हैं, जिसमें से एक द प्रिंस है. ओके, सो आई टॉक मोर ऑन द प्रिंस विच इज वेरी एग्जाम फॉर द पॉलिटिकल साइंस एंड इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन perspective. So we will be dealing with the magnum opus, that is Prince, in the later slides as well. But the other two are basically the State of War and the Art of War and the Discourses, right? Which is written 8 years later after he wrote the Prince. So this is the magnum opus which needs to be taken into the consideration, the Prince and the Discourses, right? So the questions also asked what are the most important works of the Machiavelli, Niccolo Machiavelli. So these are the important works, that is the Prince and Discourses in 1521. So Prince is, just to give you a brief background, so Prince is basically a kind of instruction to the governor of Florence, a governor or the ruler during the time of Machiavelli in the Florence, right, where he will be giving 11 principles to rule efficiently in the Florence to a young prince, right? So which we will be seeing in detail. हम और भी ज़्यादा डिटेल में उसको देखेंगे आगे के लेक्चर स्लाइड में. So just keep in mind that the two work of Machiavelli are the Prince and the Discourses, right? The words which are highlighted. So next is, okay, we have seen his work. We will be reading his political theory. But what led Machiavelli to come up with his political thought, right? A special question to ponder upon, right? Machiavelli इतने अमीर फैमिली से आते थे. He was very close associate to the Medici family. He was also the beholder of government departments and etc. So what led Machiavelli to come up with this kind of thought revolution, right? So Renaissance was something in medieval Europe. It is a kind of transition from medieval to modernism in Europe, which had a great impact on Machiavelli, right? And because of his impact on Renaissance, he is also somewhere called as the father of modern political realism, right? He is called as father of political realism because Renaissance gave him more realistic perspective of different political thoughts or political topic which were prevalent during his time. So every thinker is the child of his time. This is a famous prominent statement by Lasky which says that every thinker is a child of his time. So was Machiavelli. This description suits to the Machiavelli the most. It was the age of Renaissance, right? And Machiavelli is the child of Renaissance. Renaissance was kind of cultural, economical, social, political revolution in the start of 15th century, 15th and 16th century in Europe, which completely led the overhaul or revolution of the Dark Age, that is the medieval period, and led to the advent of modernism in Europe, right? Renaissance एक ऐसा पीरियड था जो यूरोप में कल्चरल, सोशल, इकोनॉमिकल, पॉलिटिकल रिवॉल्यूशन लेके आया, कंप्लीट चेंज लेके आया. सो देर वॉज अ प्रिवेलेंट ऑफ डार्क एज in the Europe, right? There was a despotism by church, and church were also getting corrupt, right? It was completely a illusion based world where the powers, like far sighted powers, जिसमें भगवानी शक्तियों को ज़्यादा importance दिया जाता था rather than the more practical individualistic oriented approach, right? So that was considered as the dark age, and hence came the Renaissance, right? Renaissance brought with it a complete social, political, economical revolution with it, and hence the coming age of science or the advent of science had a great impact on the thinkers, and hence Machiavelli is considered to be the first modern thinker because of its impact on Renaissance and hence change in the perspective which he had accrued to the stream of political science. Okay, so let's see further. This description suits to the Machiavelli the most. It was the age of Renaissance. Renaissance has led to the lot of changes in all aspect of life. Some of the byproduct of Renaissance led to the growth of reason, right? Because when Renaissance came, Renaissance brought with it the age of science, the age of reason. Reason led to the growth of science. If medieval age is age of religion, that is dark age, modern age is an age of science, right? Because it led to the growth of thinking, development, cognitive development, science. People started to 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 take a more empirical method of scientific research. Modern age led to the rolling back of religion, which means secularization of the society. God is confined to the personal sphere. In Machiavelli, we see separation of church and state. Okay, so Machiavelli was very much influenced by Aristotle as well, because Aristotle strongly propounded the idea that there is a distinction between church, between the religion, between the ethics and the politics, right? And hence he started seeing the two different stream in their own perspective, not intermingling or interdepending each other on the each other, right? And hence this influenced Machiavelli to derive his political thought as well, because he was somewhere the product of Renaissance, the age of science, where he had his own reason, he had his own methodology to come up with his own set of theories, right? So religion nowhere influenced Machiavelli, because religion was somewhere getting a backstage when it comes to the age of Renaissance or age of science, right? That's why we call Machiavelli as the father of political realism or the father of modern political science, right? So thus he is the originator of concept of European model of secularism. What is European model of secularism? Where there is a distinction between the church and the state. Thus religion do not interfere in the matter of state. जहाँ पे रिलीजन जो कि चर्च है वो एक स्टेट के मैटर में इंटरफेयर नहीं करता. दैट इज बेसिकली अ यूरोपियन मॉडल ऑफ सेकुलरिज्म. बट व्हेन वी सी द सेम कॉन्सेप्ट इन इंडियन टर्म्स, इट इज बेसिकली वी हैव आवर ओन यूनिक मॉडल ऑफ सेकुलरिज्म. दैट इज अ स्टेट विल हैव अ slight regulation and control over the religion, because in our country religion and state have kind of interdependence, right? So but European model of secularism is quite different and unique, because there the religion and state are two different entities, independent and autonomous of each other, right? So that is the European model of secularism which is prevalent till date. Reason also led to the scientific revolution. Scientific revolution led to the industrial revolution. We have seen the pretext, that is how Renaissance led to the industrial revolution and hence scientific revolution in the European region, right? Because it led to the growth of reason, the growth of scientific revolution, research and etc. in Europe, and hence it ultimately led to the industrial revolution, where there were more outbursts of materialistic tendencies, right, among the population and citizen of the European countries. Industrial revolution led to the rise of capitalism. It is very basic phenomena that once there was a scientific revolution, then industrial revolution. Industrial revolution brought with it a lot of money, right? Because people started trading, engaging in themselves in the trade, in the commerce, right? And जैसे जैसे लोग अपने आप को trade and commerce में engage करने लग गए, they were started earning, they were started having lot of money with them, right? And hence they did not have to think about food and all the basic sustenance things, and hence here they started getting separated from the lot of entanglement from the religion, right? क्योंकि हम एक बेसिक टेंडेंसी ह्यूमन बींग्स में देखेंगे, हम जब सबसे ज़्यादा परेशान होते हैं, हम जब सबसे ज़्यादा डरे हुए होते हैं, तभी हम रिलीजन में अपने आप को ज़्यादा डिपेंड करते हैं, तभी हम भगवान के प्रति अपने आप को ज़्यादा डिपेंड करते हैं. एंड दैट वाज द सिमिलर सिचुएशन इन मिडिवल यूरोप वेयर देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ थ्रेट, where there was lot of fear, where there was lot of crisis, sustenance crisis going on, and hence there was over dominance of religion during the medieval period. But once the age of Renaissance came, जब Renaissance आया, जब पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमिकल सोशल रिवॉल्यूशन यूरोप में आया, तो एक रीजन, द ग्रोथ ऑफ रीजन हैज टेकन प्लेस, जिसके थ्रू क्या हुआ, साइंटिफिक रिवॉल्यूशन आया एंड एज ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन आया. जैसे इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन आया, वो अपने साथ एक बहुत सारा ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स लेके आया, राइट. वी हैव सीन हाउ द colonialism and imperialism was also the product of industrial revolution, because the imperial powers wanted to exploit the resources of colonial countries like India, राइट. यहाँ से वो रॉ मटेरियल भेजते थे, वहाँ से प्रोसेस करके उसको वापस हमारे देश में ही वो लेके आते थे. इससे क्या होता था, उन्हें बहुत सारा पैसा मिलता था. एंड कैपिटलिज्म अल्टीमेटली लेड टू द राइज ऑफ मटेरियलिज्म, इंडिविजुअलिज्म एंड यूटिलिटेरियनिज्म. व्हाट इज मटेरियलिज्म? पीपल वांटेड टू एक्वायर और बिकेम लॉट ऑफ मटेरियल इंटेंसिव. वो बाहर की जो मटेरियलिस्टिक चीज़ें हैं उसको ज़्यादा इम्फेसिस देने लग गए. इंडिविजुअलिज्म रेदर देन रिलीजियन और द गॉड सेंट्रिक अप्रोच, दे हैव स्टार्टेड गिविंग मोर इम्पोर्टेंस टू द individual human beings, right. That is, human beings are more important than any other distant entities. And utilitarianism in the sense, the utility of something, right, because human beings are driven by passions and desires, and hence they started being driven by the utilitarianism, because utilitarianism is something which accrued them a lot of happiness, right, or a eudaimonia. That's why the capitalism led to the outburst of materialism, individualism and utilitarianism. Capitalism also led to the emergence of nationalism, right. Why and how it led to the emergence of nationalism, we will be seeing in the later slides, but just have an idea that capitalism also led to the emergence of nationalism. Because जस्ट टू गिव यू अ जिस्ट, उस टाइम क्या होता था, जैसे जैसे इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन आया, the state started promoting a sense of industrialization in their own countries, right. As we know that the East India Company were somewhere backed by the Britishers, the British state, right. And it was also the Queen's Elizabeth Charter which also gave them an authority to conquer or to come to the India and exploit its raw materials and resources, right. So it was somewhere backed by the state. Likewise, all the imperial European powers started backing their industrial houses, and hence it somewhere enhanced the quality of patriotism in them, because they were also getting immense support from their state, right. And hence it bolstered a sense of nationalism in their citizens, right. So everything represents the interest of particular section of society. Machiavelli represents the interest of emerging bourgeoisie class or capitalist class. So bourgeoisie class is a Marxist term, right. So bourgeoisie class is basically a class which is being denoted to the wealthier or capitalist section of the society, right. So as we have seen that Machiavelli, a family, they themselves belong to the wealthy banking classes, right. And hence he started advocating or talking more from the perspective of a capitalist class, right. He started promoting the ideas or the ideologies of wealthier capitalist class. And Machiavelli was the champion of nationalism, and hence he was the champion of nationalism. So this was about the impact Renaissance had on the Machiavelli, right. How Renaissance, just to give you a brief summary, Renaissance led to the growth of what? Growth of a region, right. Renaissance led to the social, economic and political revolution, which ultimately subsided the influence of Dark Age or religion or church, which were getting corrupted or perverted in the time of Machiavelli in Florence, right, which ultimately led to the growth of science, which ultimately led to the growth of industrial revolution, the scientific research, which ultimately led to the growth of trade and commerce and money. People started becoming more materialistic, utilitarianism and individualistic in nature, which ultimately led to the development of ideologue of capitalism, and hence patriotism, nationalism, and etc. Developed, right? And this all somewhere shaped the ideology or thinking of Machiavelli, Niccolo Machiavelli, and we will be seeing how realistic his perspective became by undergoing the transition phase of Renaissance, right? So okay, so let's now see the Machiavelli's perspective, right? So the influence of Renaissance that affected the perspective of Machiavelli, which ultimately turned him as a realist. Okay, so there is a broad consensus among thinkers on calling Machiavelli a realist, right? There are different perspectives, but there is a broad consensus uh, among thinkers on calling Machiavelli a realist. It can be credited to the fact that Machiavelli employed empirical method to conclude his idea of politics. So once we see his methodology, we will be realizing how realist he was in devolving his ideas, in formulating his idea. He basically employed more realistic approach of empiricism and history, right? So he has used the historical method like that of Aristotle, right? He was majorly influenced by Aristotle as well, because he have seen his theories in great depth, because he had mastered Greek philosophers when he was just 7 years of age, and hence Aristotle's pragmatic approach of political science had a great influence on Machiavelli. One can say that his method is a combination of realistic and historical manners. His method is not based on speculation but on observation of facts that he draws from history, right? As we have just now learned that how Aristotle had great influence on Machiavelli, his idea of golden mean, जो एरिस्टोटल का आइडिया था गोल्डन मीन का, उसका बहुत अच्छे से इस्तेमाल किया मैकियावेली ने, जहां ही taken the golden mean of present context through empiricism and history in very efficient manner in order to come up with his more realist approach of political science, right? So his method is not based on speculation but on observation of facts that he draws from history. His practical method with the backing of history makes him political thinker and not a political theorist, right? So though he took some inspiration from history, his approach was very much realist in nature. That's why he is also called as a political thinker and not a political theorist, because political theorists somewhere created their own sense of political ideologies. Let's say Plato, he did not got influenced by any ancient thinker. He developed his own theories through the principle of dialectics, right? But here Machiavelli is more realistic in nature, and hence he is a political thinker, because he has taken the help of history plus empiricism, that is the experience of the present situation, to come up with his own concept of state and statecraft, right? So in his book The Prince, Machiavelli writes about his method as drawing maxims or rules for successful political behavior from history and experience. So this is the maxim, or this is the statement which Machiavelli writes in his book The Prince, the magnum opus The Prince, where he says that drawing maxims or rules for successful political behavior from history and experience. So how he is taking his experience from both history and experience to come up with his own political thoughts, right? So these are the two methodology. The first is empiricism and the second is history, which has great influence on the work of Machiavelli. It is true to the extent that he has drawn historical examples to prove his stance, right? For instance, in the book Discourses, Machiavelli points out that if a ruler is accused of committing a wrong act, but its results proves to be good, it will absolve him from the blame. So this is also the justification जो Machiavelli दे रहा है अपने methodology को वैलिडेट करने के लिए. बहुत सारे Machiavelli is a great propounder of end justifying the means, जिसका मतलब है अगर कोई एंड अच्छा हो तो चाहे मीन्स आपका जो भी हो, इट विल जस्टिफाई द मीन्स, राइट? But on the other side, there is a Gandhi who always believes in the goodness of a means, right? They will always align themselves on the path which follows a good means towards an end, right? But here Machiavelli, being a more realist, he says that a end will justify a means. Whatever you do, if the end is good, it will justify the means, right? That is the idea of this statement, that if a ruler is accused of committing a wrong act, but its results proves to be a good. It will absolve him from the blame, right? The end justifying the means. So this is one of the important 11 principles that is being given to the prince in his magnum opus, that is the prince, which we will be seeing in greater detail in the later slides, right? So what are the critics of his methodology, right? There are thinkers like Sabine जो कहते हैं कि मैकियावेली बहुत narrowly dated and narrowly located था. So let's see some of the critics of Machiavelli methodology. However, many critics assert that Machiavelli was not historical in his approach. In the book A History of Political Theory, George S. Sabine has observed it is misleading to say that Machiavelli followed a historical method because his examples were often drawn from the past, right? So see, Machiavelli he himself accepts that the methodology he is utilizing while deriving his thought is historical and empiricism. But why Sabine here is saying that the Machiavelli followed a historical method because his examples were often drawn from the past? Because see, on the one hand we are considering Machiavelli to be more realistic, right, more empiricist based on the current experience and situation, but here Sabine is criticizing Machiavelli on the ground that he has utilized history of the very past just to suit his own judgment about a particular situation. He has taken a historical examples just to validate his own justification, and the historical examples were also from the very past, which were completely from the different background, different situations, and the situation of Machiavelli is completely different. So how can a historical example of the very past can match the present situations? On the similar ground they were criticizing the Machiavelli, right? He used his history exactly as he used his observation to illustrate or support a conclusion that he had reached without any historical reference. His method, insofar as he had one, was observation guided by shrewdness and common sense. So he is basically criticizing that though his methodology or observation was basically guided by more shrewdness and common sense, his use of historical examples are very past dated, which might not efficiently do justice to his observation and common sense of present context. So this is the important critics which needs to be taken into consideration. So basically Sabine will be a major critic of Machiavelli, right? So let's see advent of Machiavelli, his vision and purpose. With all these different stories that we have heard about Machiavelli, what led to the advent of Machiavelli? What was his vision and purpose? Okay, Machiavelli belonged to the time when nation state had started emerging in Europe, right? As we know that there was a concept of feudal state in the Europe, and hence with the advent of Renaissance, with the advent of modern age, there was also a starting of a nation state, the concept of nation state in Europe. He belonged to the region known as Italy. So he belonged basically to the Florence in the modern day of Italy. Okay, Italy had not emerged as a nation state. It was divided among the five principalities of feudal state. Still, Italy was not emerged as a nation state like France or Spain. It was still divided into five principalities or feudal state. They were fighting among themselves, hence Italy was vulnerable to the external attacks, right? So the five principalities, they were a great threat to each other for the territorial expansion, and hence they were continuously engaging themselves in the war for the territorial acquisition. Hence they were posing great threat to the each other, right? Hence Italy was vulnerable to the external attacks. Hence, Machiavelli wanted the consolidation of Italy and emergence of Italy as a nation state. Because of the threat they were having on each other, Machiavelli always strived to consolidate the five different principalities, because there were international or foreign attacks as well on the five autonomous principalities like France. So Machiavelli always strived for the internal principalities consolidation, so that they can stand together against any foreign or external attacks of France or Spain and etc. Right? So Italy was once the most advanced region, but during his time Italy had become the most corrupt society. As we have seen how the Medici family were the greatest banking family, it was a time which led to the great upsurge in art, in poetry, in literature, in technology, in science in Italy. But there came a time which was majorly ruled by a monarch, right? A corrupt monarch, which ultimately led to the perverted or pervasive corruption in the Italian society of Florence, right? So Italy was the seat of Roman Church. By that time, church had also become a corrupt institution. There was impact of the corruption of church on people. Machiavelli had a first-hand experience of politics because he was himself associated with the department of politics, right? And hence he was very much aware of the pervasion of the corruption and the corrupt institution that were shaping the Italian citizen of his time, right? So he belonged to Florence. He served in different political offices. He even served as a diplomat. So when there was a chancery and he became the secretary of the chancery, he was also sent as a foreign diplomat to the France just to seek support in the war against several external threats. Right. So in the court of King of France, he was addressed as Mr. Nihilio, Nahilio. Okay. So Mr. Nihilio is the term which basically meant zero. So sometime infamously, Machiavelli was regarded as Mr. Nihilio or Mr. Zero. That is a person who is belonging to the territory who has a zero respect among the European nations, right? So he is basically calling the state of Florence as Nihilio or zero, which do not have any respect among the European nation. That's why he is symbolically called Machiavelli as well as Mr. Nihilio. It means he comes from a place which had no respect among the states in Europe, right? So Machiavelli was a great patriot, right? So you have seen the up and downs of his state, that is Florence, and hence he ultimately became a great patriot. He wanted that his motherland should regain its glory, which was long lost, right? Machiavelli was against two sections, right? So he was basically against the feudal lords or aristocracy because they were very much engaged in corruption and expansion and acquisition of territorial expansion, right? And the second entity against whom Machiavelli stood were church, because church were a major corrupt institution. So church was also the major factor behind the lack of unification in Italy, because church had a domination or the ruling domination, a power domination in the Italian principality, and hence they did not wanted that there should be establishment of republic, because if there should be a establishment of republic, the church will be thrown out, right? The public people will realize the real face of church, and hence they will revolt against the church or the papacy, and hence they never wanted to set up a republic government through unification of Italy. So these two are the important factors in the Italian arena against which Machiavelli stood and raised his voice very vocally, right? So this was his vision and his purpose of Italy, basically, right? So this is it for today, people. So this is the question which you can attempt, and again you can mail your answers at the email handle which I have mentioned. So the first question is, name some of the important works of Machiavelli that we have already seen. What are the important factors that had helped in shaping the political philosophy of Machiavelli? So basically some of the pointers, if I have to mention, are Renaissance, then unification of Italy, then the monarchical power, and etc. These are some of the factors which helped in shaping the political philosophy of Machiavelli. So Renaissance movement had a deep impact on Machiavelli. This concept we have already seen in great depth in the slide, in the previous slide. So explain, you can just attempt an answer in 50 words, 200 words, and you can mail your answer at namanji910@gmail.com. So guys, with all due love and respect, make sure to show your love as well by subscribing to the channel UPSC Geek by NRJ. And with this we come to an end. Thank you, and make sure to strive, because thus you strive so you thrive. Remember the motto statement of UPSC Geek by NRJ. And let's end the today's lecture here. Thank you so much.